time to add the next layer of design, okay? So you have 4 choices. Your first choice is concentric lines, and concentric lines are lines that echo the line drawn before it. So here's what I mean. This is actually a line. It's not a shape, it's a closed line. If it was a shape, it would be solid black. Okay, so that's the first line. The next line is a concentric line because it echoes the line drawn before it. And all the lines I'm drawing right now are also concentric lines. So that is your first choice for the theme that you can use for step 2 of this assignment. I'll tell you how to apply this in a minute. Converging lines are lines that converge onto a specific point. So imagine that there's a point or a dot here. So there can be as many lines as you can fit. They don't have to be evenly spaced, but converging lines are lines that come to a specific point, okay? That's your second choice. Your third choice is to add value in pencil. Okay, so if you remember way back to April 6th, value is shading, and a value scale is value that goes from light to dark or dark to light, okay? So you'd be using a pencil, you'd be using the side of your pencil, and you'd be adding value. And you will be adding probably about 3 different values that go from light to dark. So you can see light, medium, and dark, okay? Your last choice is to be using stippling to add value. And stippling is making dots. Now, let me get this going here. Okay. So dots, you're going to be using the very fine point Sharpie. I believe it's called the ultra fine point. And you're going to be doing it fairly slowly. Okay. If you do it quickly like this, you're going to notice that your dots have tails, and that is not what we want. Okay, so you need to do it slowly. Okay, the more dots you have, okay, so let's just say, for example, that this amount of dots is a number 1 value of dots. And let's say we want a darker value of dots. That means we need more dots, and they need to be closer together. Okay. So that's a darker value. If we want an even darker value, we add even more dots, and they begin to overlap to make an even darker value. So how are we going to apply this to your sketchbook cover? I'm going to show you. Okay, here is an example of a sketchbook cover, let's call it. And this sketchbook cover started with these circles. We've fixed some of the undesirable marks, and we started making concentric lines in a chosen shape or area, okay? Whatever theme you choose out of these 4, concentric lines, converging lines, value in pencil, or value in stipple, whichever one you choose, I want you to fill at least 5 of the shapes that you've created with your overlapping lines with the desired theme, okay? So for example, here I've got 1 space filled, all right? That means I need to fill at least 4 more spaces with concentric lines. You can see here that some of these lines are thicker in areas than others, and that's because I had some things happening that I didn't like. So I widened the line up, just like I showed you before, to cover those things I didn't want. So right here, I'm going to do some more concentric lines. This will be my second space that I'm filling with this theme, okay? Now, I can leave it like that, or I can actually go in there and thicken up some of my lines, even though I don't feel like I've made any mistakes. I can do that if I just like the way it looks, okay? So that's concentric lines. I could even fill this in if I wanted. Whatever you think really looks good. And I hope this video isn't too dark or I don't want it to look like it's the middle of the night, even though it is pretty late at night, people. I'm having a hard time with this uploading. Okay, so that's the concentric lines choice, all right? Converging lines. That is when lines come to a specific point, all right? So you can see here that I've already started here. These two lines had a situation happening that I didn't like, so I thickened them up. And I still feel like there's something going on, but okay. Now, if I wanted to fill this spot, I could choose any of, I would actually probably start here, because you want to start where two lines are already coming to a specific point, all right? So that's what I would do. These two lines are coming to a specific point. So I'm going to start adding my lines. You don't need to use a ruler unless you really want to, but that's probably going to make you go crazy. All right. Here, another space. I'm going to choose something that's not right next to one of the others. I'm going to choose this space. And where the lines are going to converge onto a specific point, once again, you need to find where the lines already are converging, and that is where you begin to draw your lines from. Again, you can have as many as you want. They do not have to be evenly spaced. You do want your lines to go all the way to the edge of the paper or all the way until they hit another line, okay? I'm going to thicken this line up right here because I just want to. Ooh, that wasn't a good thing that I just did. I think I'll have to thicken it up again. It's kind of late, in case you wondered. And I just realized I don't have my glasses on. Okay. I think this... that's good. That's good. So I am also thinking, maybe I'll do this one. So I've got 1, 2, 3. That means I have at least 2 more spaces that I need to fill with converging lines. Now, you can fill all of your spaces with your desired theme. Or you can say to yourself, you know what? The other spaces that I don't fill, I think I might want to do something else. And those spaces you can do whatever you want with. You can fill them with other designs. You can fill them with solid colors. You can cut the paper in your packet, that colored designed paper, and fill it with that and glue it down with your glue stick. Okay? Okay, that is converging lines. This one here is value in pencil, and I've got 2 shapes I've already started. All right, so your first step is to take your pencil, and you're going to need to show me at least 3 values. Once again, I'm going to be needing to fill at least 5 spaces with my chosen theme. This theme is the value in pencil, and I've got 2 already, so I'm going to choose another. I think I'm going to go for this one. First thing I'm going to do is fill it in with a number 1 value, which is a very light value because it's almost 0 if you remember the value scale lesson. And I'm going to go in a few different directions. And then I'm going to take my tortillon, my blending tortillon, which you'll find in your packet, and I'm use the side of this, just like I used the side of my pencil. Try to use the pencil that you've been provided in your packet, because technical pencils are really hard to use on the side of the lead. And that's what's going to give you the best shading if you use the side of your lead. All right, so I just smoothed out my pencil strokes, and I can still see the pencil strokes crossing over each other, and that's okay. Now, where do I add the next values? Well, you need to find the corners of the shape, and that's where we want the darkest values to be, all right? So the next value I'm going to add in this sort of in like a jagged way, almost like there's little fingers reaching out of the corners, okay? And this is a number 2 value. I'm not going to go all the way into the center of the shape because I want this first value to show by itself when I'm done adding all the values. I want to be able to see all 3 values. So now I've got a second value in each corner. And I like to curve the pencil strokes up the side of the shape. So I've got 3 corners. I'm going to take the blending tortillon and I'm going to once again blend that. And it tends to make, when you blend with this thing, it tends to make the value a little darker. Why? I don't know. Just pull it up there a little bit. So you can see the 2 values so far, and I'm going to add my 3rd value, even darker. And once again, I don't want to cover the value that I just put on there, so that means that this value is going to take up a little less space. See how I'm making it kind of jagged? You want to do that because it helps blend. Once again, you're going to need to fill at least 5 spaces with this technique, but you can fill all of them if you'd like. As long as you fill 5 spaces, you can do whatever you want with the other spaces. Okay, that is value in pencil. The last technique choice for you is adding value in stippling. Okay, you're going to be using the ultra fine point Sharpie for this, and once again I'm going to have to get that going. All right, you're going to find the corners of the shape, and you're not going to fill the shape in with anything because your lightest value for this technique is going to be the white paper. Okay, now if you look at this one, most of the stippling is in the corners because we want the value to be the darkest, and as the stippling comes out of the corners, it's as if the dots are like grains of sand that are being blown across the tile shape, okay? So they get further and further apart as they get towards the center, okay? And it's very random looking. I'm going to choose this shape here, and I'm going to start by adding just a little bit to each corner. I'm not trying to put a value scale all at once into each corner. I'm just trying to put a basic sort of medium layer of stippling. You know, they're not too close together, but they're not really far apart like they are in the center there either. Okay. Okay, now let's have a look here. What I want to do is I want to act like these little, let's call them grains of sand, have randomly been kind of blown across there. So this I could really call my number 1 layer, okay? My number 2 layer, they're getting closer together here. Now I'm going to add a number 3 layer of value, starting in the very corner. They don't have to overlap yet. And they are going to start to spread out. You don't want them to look like they're clumped together. So I've got, I mean, they can overlap, but not in like a tight ball. That'll look like a clump. I'm doing it kind of fast. I'd rather you take your time. I just don't want the video to be too long or I won't be able to upload it. Okay, I think that is a better example because I think I went in a 4th time and I really overlapped it. You're going to have to do what you think looks best, okay? Do your best work. I know you will. This one needs a little bit more. Okay, so those are your 4 choices, all right? Take your time. You have the weekend, okay? Enjoy.